Hello and welcome to Pokemon TCG Center. Mario with you, and today I will talk about the cards that you will actually need if you start to play Pokemon TCG. So before I even start to talk about it, if you need any of cards or if you're new to game, you can check the CCG Castle web store in my video link description, and you can buy any of these cards that actually you might need for your deck or collection, and they get pretty decent prices, and they also give you a discount if you buy directly from my channel. So if you type YouTube1 code, you will actually get a discount on your purchase. So let's say you're new to Pokemon trading card game and you actually want to start build your first deck. What you actually really need to have. So basically, if you're new to the game, you need to know that the game actually have Pokemons, trainers, and energy cards. When we talk about trainer cards, there is few different types of cards. Actually, you have item cards, supporter cards, and tool cards and stadium cards. Basically, the tool is the same as a item. It counts like the item card, but the supporter doesn't count like the item card, it counts like a supporter, and you can only play one supporter during your turn before you attack. So it's also typed on the card. So basically, as a new player, of course, you need to decide which one deck would you like to play. And when you know what kind of deck would you like to play, then you need to start to build your own supporter and item card list. So basically, for each deck, you should probably have. Let's start first with the supporters. 4 copies of Professor Sycamore. So this is the main staple in almost every deck. Some players run actually 2 or 3 copies of Professor Sycamore, but that's on the point when you're advantage in the game and when you know all the secrets of the game and stuff like Pokemon's abilities and any other stuff. For example, with the Shaymin you can draw cards when you bench it on the bench from your hand until you have 6 in your hand, and that card ability replaced some supported card. But let's say as you are new and you want to build a budget deck, you should need 4 Professor Sycamore as a staple. Then for the draw support, we also have Professor Birch Observation, and we also have Shauna. So if you want to choose between those 2 cards, the difference is that Shauna will allow you to draw cards to shuffle your hand and draw 5 cards, and Birch will do the same, but you will need to flip a coin. If you get heads, you will draw 7, if you get tails, you will draw 4 cards. If you ask me, I personally run 4 Sycamore and 3 Birch Observation in almost every deck. So that's pretty much all you have to need from the draw supporter cards. When we talk about supporter cards, we have supporter cards like the tech. So, for example, you have Pokemon Fan Club, and with the Fan Club, you'll be able to search your deck for the 2 basic Pokemons, reel them, and put into your hand. So that's also a good thing because you can search your deck for the basic Pokemons. And if you're new to game, you should probably get at least 1 copy of the Fan Club, and you will probably need it. And there is also Lysander. I recommend to get at least 2 copies of Lysander. It says that you can switch one of your opponent's benched Pokemon with his or her active Pokemon, and this is good because you can catch something from your opponent's bench and take an easy knockout. And you need to run at least 2 copies in your deck, because if you run only 1 and if it gets into your prize cards, you won't be able to use it, let's say, for the decent amount of time. We also have Hex Maniac, which will prevent your opponents from playing abilities. Also you with the next turn. So this is also good to interrupt your opponent. I recommend to get at least 1 of these Hex Maniac cards. And of course there is also AZ. I also recommend to have at least 1 in your pocket collection, so you can maybe try to play it as a tech. It says that you can put 1 Pokemon into your hand and discard all cards attached to that Pokemon into your discard pile. And then we also have a Ace Trainer, which is also good. Let's say like the old M, but it's a little bit weaker. When your opponents take prize cards, or if he have more prize cards left than you, each player shuffle his or her hand and you draw 6, your opponent 3 cards. So that's pretty good because if you have less prizes than your opponent, you can trick it back to the 3 cards. I recommend to have at least one of these copies. As I mentioned before, as a Shona, you can switch between Shona and Birch as a second draw supporter, and I recommend you to have at least 4 copies of Shonas into your deck collection. When we talk about Skyla, it's a card that allows you to search your deck for a trainer card, reveal and put it into your hand. It's not playable anymore, but I recommend to have at least one Skyla. There's also Teammates, and it's a pretty good card because when your opponents knock out your Pokemon last turn, you can search your deck for any 2 cards and put them into your hand and shuffle deck after that. Something like Computer Search, but Computer Search will need 2 cards to discard, but with the Teammates you'll be able to find your deck for the 2 cards, and I recommend you to have 2 Teammates in your deck collection. And least but not the last is a Zero-Seek, which is also like a tech card, which will allow you to discard your opponent's tool or special energy card, or even yourself from the play. So yeah, the main supporters will be Sycamore and Birch for the draw, and of course Lysander in pretty much all decks that you will build, and those other supporters that I mentioned will be a additional option. The next thing you need to know is a stadium cards. We have a lot of different stadium cards, and that depends on the kind of deck that you play. Let's say you play a Psychic type of deck, you will play Dimension Volley, of course, because each of your Pokemon's attack will cost 1 less. You can have 4 copies of any stadium into play. Let's say if you play in the place where there is a lot of Mega Pokemons and the Mega decks, of course you will play a Faded Town because between the turns you will be able to put 2 damage counters on each Mega Evolution Pokemon, which is pretty strong. Fairy Garden is good if you play with the Fairy type Pokemons because you will be able to free retreat. So each stadium has a different effect. Then there is a Fading Stadium, which will add 20 more additional damage to your active Pokemon that attacks opponent defending EX Pokemon. We also have Forest of the Giant Plants, one of the sickest stadiums at this moment in the format, because each grass Pokemon can evolve during his or her first turn when that player puts it into the play. Something like the old stadium Broken Time Space, which allows you to evolve any other Pokemon. So there's also Parallel City, that's the new stadium. We also have Rough Seas, which can heal a Lighting and Water type Pokemon. Silent Lab, which will prevent all basic Pokemons in hand, the discard pile in the game from the abilities. Skyfield, you can have 8 instead of 5 Pokemons into play, and that's pretty much all when we talk about stadium cards. When we talk about tool cards, there is I decided to pick only 3 tool cards for the new players that must have. The Floatstone is the first tool that you must have in your deck, and it's just because you have free retreat, and that's pretty good. The second one is a Muscle Band, which will increase your opponent's active, your active Pokemon's attack for 20 more damage counters. And I recommend to have 4 copies of Floatstone and Muscle Band into your collection. You never know when you will need to have it. And the last item card as a tool I recommend is Headringer, and I recommend you to run at least 2 Headringers in your deck because it will increase your opponent's EX Pokemon attack cost. And now we have few different item cards that you will also need to play into your deck. I recommended to get 4 Ultra Balls because it's pretty much staple in each deck. You can discard 2 cards from your hand and search your deck for any Pokemon and put it into your hand. So we have a different kind of balls that will able to search your deck. We also have Repeat Ball. I don't really recommend Repeat Ball. We also have Level Ball. I recommend you to have also 4 into your collection because with Level Ball you can search your deck for Pokemons with 90 or less HP and put them into your hand. There's also Heavy Ball, which will allows you to search your deck for a Pokemon with retreat cost 3 or more, put it into your hand without discarding additional cards. And we also have Die Ball for the water support Pokemons, which will search any kind of water type Pokemon. And we also have some cards that will help you to draw as an item. You can have roller skates, 4 of them also into your collection. With the flip a coin, you will get 3 cards to draw. There's also Switch, which is pretty good. You need to have at least 2 switches into your collection, because with Switch you'll be able to switch your active Pokemon to your benched Pokemon. Versus Seeker, I recommend to run 4 copies, 3 at least into your deck. With the Versus Seeker you'll be able to play your supported card from your discard pile. Trainer's Mail is also good in this format. I recommend to have 4 into your collection. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You might reveal a trainer card and you find there and put it into your hand. I recommend to have at least 1 Starling Megaphone copy, which will allow you to discard all tools from all of your opponent's active Pokemon and any other Pokemon. Then we have Mega Turbo. If we have a Mega Evolution deck, we need to run a Mega Turbo, which will allow you to accelerate your energies from the discard pile to one of your Mega Pokemons. And we also have Battle Compressor, which is pretty good in pretty much almost every deck, because you can search your deck for up to 3 cards and discard them. So you can discard energy cards or maybe Pokemon cards or supporter cards that you don't need, and you can use them back with Versus Seeker, for example. Ace Trainer, Acrobike, also good item card. I recommend to have 4 into your collection. Look at the top 2 cards. You might put 1 and discard 2nd into your discard pile. And we also have 2 hammers. The first one is Crushing Hammer, which will allow you to flip a coin. If you get heads, you can discard opponent's energy card from play, and Enhanced Hammer will discard any special energy without flipping a coin. So that's pretty much all that you need to have into your collection if you start to play. And I recommend to get at least 4 copies of each balls to search, at least 2 or 3 copies of any other item cards, 4 copies of each tool cards if you can. And for draw supporters, I recommend to get 4 of these and at least 1 or 2 copies of any other supporter cards that you can find on this list that I made. So that's pretty much all. If you're new to game, this video will probably help you a lot. So yeah, that's pretty much all. If you have any questions, you can leave comments below. If you like this video, like it. If you don't like it, dislike it. I'll be able to help you. If you need any questions, just let me know. So until the next time, have a nice day. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more future videos. Have a nice day and goodbye.